thanks for what you do with your podcast and all the rest. You're doing a great job. Hope everybody keeps tuning in. You get a lot of good info, a lot of insights, understandings of how to get strong, how to stay strong, how to use your strength.
You do a great job, dude. You make things better than they are in real life, I think.
If you don't follow Massenomics, y'all do it. Social media, website, everything.
Massenomics.
Here we are, everyone, for episode 341 of the Massenomics podcast, the lifting podcast about nothing, recorded live from Western, Northeast, South Dakota. My name is Tanner.
And my name is Tommy.
Episode 341. You know what that means? Another day at the office.
It is. And I just wanted you to be clear here, Tanner. I see the storage space left. We only have 5 hours and 25 minutes left. So we cannot go over the 5 hour and 25 minute mark on this podcast.
We'll have to rush through some of this stuff.
So I'll have to make sure once this one's done to clear it
Yeah.
off so we can go unlimited again.
There'll be a couple topics maybe here we're not going to hit.
Yeah, we'll just run out of time. There's just not enough.
Yeah.
So this might be a little shorter than what people are used to.
It might be just a little bit. But anyways, I mean, it is another day at the office. So,
Just another day.
Another day, another dollar at the office. That's what I always tell them. 341, we have a special. This episode is a greatest of all time powerlifter mock draft that we'll be doing with ourselves, of course, and then also the fellas from Two White Lights, Big Steve and Big Angelo. We'll have a snake draft, either 4 or 5 rounds, and everything is at stake here. Who can assemble the greatest team of greatest power?
Yeah, there's a lot at stake. I think the losing team has to quit podcasting is what I thought I heard.
Okay.
It's like we're podcasting for pinks over here. It's like the Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, if we
podcast.
If we win, we get their podcast.
Yeah. We get to take over their feed.
We live our lives an hour to 2 hours at a time on
90 to 120 minutes at a time. That's what we do.
You never even had your microphone. That reminds me. I wanted you all to hear a little something.
This is the Strength Company. We've set out to build a better barbell plate on American soil. We ended up here at Wisconsin's legendary Wapaka Foundry. With over 60 years of ironworking experience, the foundry had the knowledge, technology, and processes to build our weights to our exact specifications. The Strength Company plates are slim but rugged, smooth but easy to grip, and electro-coated for durability and to look great in your gym. This is the next generation of American iron. Only available from the Strength Company.
Some great plates from the Strength Co. Did you see that Brandon Campbell, friend of the podcast, Basement Brandon, as some might call him, just put out a new video? He was comparing the thinner Rogue machine plates compared to the Strength Co. plates.
Oh, it was actually the thinner ones.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, not the deep dish ones.
I saw it. And at this point, I feel like I know everything about this plate, so I actually didn't watch that one.
We've created a review video, seen a handful of them.
Yeah,
it was a good video, and
that makes more sense because I was confused why he was saying there was not a whole lot of lip to grab onto.
They're really thin,
and I'm like, well, they're deep dish. The whole point is
they're like 55.
Yes.
They're like
the 25s where there is like no lip, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yes. They're very similar.
Because those 25s are from that set, aren't they?
Yeah,
the Rogue 25s.
You're right.
The Rogue 25s.
I think you're right. Yes.
Okay, that makes way more sense now. But yeah, I always like seeing another Strength Co. Review out there.
It was good, and I think
he's reviewed the plates before, hasn't he? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, but the verdict was in basically that the Strength Co. plates are more affordable, easier to handle. They look better,
machined and e-coated,
and the owner of the company is our friend.
Mm-hmm.
If that's not enough, I don't know what else is.
So we're very biased in the right ways, I think.
There is something to me, though, about supporting someone that it matters to.
Yes.
You know?
Where you're not just another thing that's just one tiny little drop in the bucket.
Right. So that's just some of what makes the Strength Co. plate so cool. And they got all the way up to 100s, all the way down to 1 1/4 pound plates. Mm-hmm. The baby.
The baby. Show me the baby.
I would like to see the baby. I wanted to see how many I would like to see the baby reels we could put out this in 1 week. Like, oh, do they strictly do? I would like to see the baby reels now.
Like, oh, they ran out of little things, so now they're just showing actual babies, I guess. They're doing the meme literally now.
Also, while we're talking about good things, I wanted to tell you, make sure to head over to Spud Inc. That's spud-ink-straps.com. Right now I was looking at their Nade strap. The Nade strap. What is the Nade strap, you're wondering? The Nade strap is a multi-use implement with an adjustable strap and 2 3/4 inch metal ball at the end. Train whatever you want with this unique tool and the adjustable strap added. You can use it for longer range tricep pushdowns, lat pulls, rotation work, and any forearm training you can bring to this world. Grenades have been around for a long time and come and go over time. The only thing missing was an adjustable strap to change the dynamic of the exercise and increase the ability to train more angles with the nades. If your mobility is not as strong in one area as others, you can use the adjustable strap to get closer to what you want. Check out the Nade strap. Very affordable option. They have several other cable attachment options that you could purchase from Spud Inc. They've got their sleeves, bow tie, belt squat belt, just about everything you could hope for at spud-ink-straps.com. Make sure to tell them Massenomics sent you, and if you order $75 or more, you get free shipping. Thank you, Spud Inc.
Thank you.
I had a little bit of follow-up.
Oh, I love a little follow-up.
Yeah, follow-up is always fun, right?
Oh, okay. And I also have follow-up.
Do you want to follow yours up first?
I'm thinking your follow-up is going to cover this, but in case yours doesn't, I have a follow-up.
I don't think my follow-up's going to cover it.
Is it related to last week's episode?
I didn't. My follow-up isn't going to be the same as your follow-up. I'm positive of that. It'd be really weird if it was. I'd be like, okay, that's crazy.
Turns out that when the last time you saw Armageddon was in 5th grade.
Oh, that's a good call out. Okay, yes. That's a good point.
You don't remember the actors very well in that movie.
Yeah.
And we're also learning about my experience with movies in general. So
we'll get more to that.
The actor that we were referring to is not Ving Rhames. It was what was it, Michael Clark Duncan? Is that his name? I don't even remember his name now.
Yeah, it's something like that.
I'm very bad with remembering actors' names.
And
I know it was in the Discord. Heavily.
Yeah, well, Michael Clark Duncan.
Michael Clark Duncan, yeah. So we got that one very wrong.
And also, Michael Clark Duncan was huge.
Yes, he was.
That's why what was throwing me off. I'm like, I guess Ving Rhames is kind of big, but what am I remembering? Michael Clark Duncan was jacked. And it is said that he could bench press 600 pounds. Mm-hmm. And I tend to believe it.
Oh, for sure.
At least in the ballpark. Maybe that, maybe that's, he's what I said on the podcast last time, he's for sure benching over 500. There's no way that
Here's a picture of him with The Rock. His arms are bigger than The Rock's.
Oh, he's enormous. Yeah. Like he was before becoming an actor, he was a bodyguard for a lot of, I think, big famous actors for a long time.
I believe it.
He is jacked.
Look at him there.
Oh, he's huge.
God.
Be like, try and tell me that guy doesn't bench press 600 pounds. If he doesn't, I don't know who or why people do.
Yeah. Holy.
But we did kind of have that wrong, didn't we?
Yeah.
But I feel better about after figuring that out. I'm like, okay, that's why I was confused. Like, because Ving Rhames wasn't that quite. I was like, yeah, that guy's not benching 500 pounds like I was thinking in my head. But Michael Clark Duncan,
he can
big guy.
Yes, he is.
About as big as any like. What actors do you think are what actors that have made it to that level? Like, I mean, he's not an A-list actor, I suppose, but, or wasn't, but, he's in a lot of big movies.
As far as just pure strength goes, you're saying?
Yeah, like who would be stronger than him?
Boy, I don't know. Because a lot of people at that level, it's more aesthetics than anything.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about like Thor being
right. Yeah, I don't doubt that either.
The mountain in Game of Thrones, or Eddie making some.
You might say The Rock is really strong, but he's also not doing like maximal lifts. And if he is, he
wouldn't be touching what I don't think what Michael Clark Duncan could have done.
Yeah, I don't know who would be in that. Who else would be in that territory? But again, I'm a bad person to ask. So
yeah, you haven't really seen many movies, but show me an actor where acting is where they really kind of made it that's stronger than him. Maybe they're out there, but I'd like to see it.
I'd love to see that.
Yeah. I'd have something else to play. This is my follow-up.
Okay.
So
turn the volume up here.
I think you'll this will be fun. You remember how I was talking about the shoe strategy game in business school?
Oh, yeah.
I was
So this just really quick for people that Tanner went to one of South Dakota's top business schools and got really good grades.
Yes.
And
true statements.
And part of your class was that everyone in the class had to form groups and run or decide as a group how to best run this fictional shoe company.
Yeah. So you know how I built the podcast with Guy Raz.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Really good podcast. I'm sure we've talked about it before. I was listening to that this week. Wouldn't you know the guest on there, the guy that started Wirecutter? I'm guessing you've looked at Wirecutter stuff. Brian Lamb, I think is his name.
Okay, there's been times where I had to, when I discovered the Wirecutter website, I spent way too much time. I'm like, everyone's figured out the best version of everything of the everyday boring ass objects.
Settled for me.
Yep. I'll just read all of these. I'll buy all of this stuff. And I got way too into it for way too long. And now I don't go on that website anymore.
It's funny. This guy too, he was at Gizmo when they when they got the leaked iPhone 4
Gizmodo.
Gizmodo.
Okay,
Whatever.
Yes,
yeah.
I do remember that when
the
that
leaked
happened
iPhone
too.
4 and like Steve Jobs called him and was like, "Hey, I want that back."
Because it got left on a bar in San Francisco, wasn't it?
Yeah, by like somebody that had it for like an engineer. Or
so the guy that started Wirecutter
used to work for Gizmodo.
Gotcha.
And he was the guy that like broke that basically.
Interesting.
And they had. This is way off the rails, but I just want to. At Gizmodo, they had pre-planned all these scenarios of things that could happen and what they would do, how they would react if they could happen. And months before finding that iPhone 4, they had played out the scenario of what if they got a leaked iPhone in their hands? What could they legally do with it, and what could they do with it?
Oh, really?
They had already gone through their attorneys and already knew what they could and couldn't get away with.
And
like
so just by chance that
it actually happened.
That's
so
weird.
They could act on it immediately instead of like waiting around to like be like, oh, can we really do this? Or is Steve Jobs actually going to like lower the hammer on us and crush us to dust?
That is
weird. So Steve Jobs called and he was like, no, I don't have to do that. Because they knew.
Covered this with their lawyers.
Right.
Wow.
Interesting. But so they interviewed this guy. He went to business school and he goes, the only class I ever liked was this with the strategy game. It's called the business strategy game. He didn't say that, but I looked it up after this. I'm like, oh, everyone does do this activity then. Like I'm not just it wasn't just a us thing. I'm remembering that right. It's like common across business schools. And he talks about it a little bit. And I just pulled the snippet of him and I was just like, this is so funny that I haven't talked about this thing for 20 years.
And now it's happening multiple times.
Yeah. So here's like 30 seconds of that.
And then I ended up in business school. But the only class I enjoyed was the strategy game. And it was like this rudimentary networked thing where it's like you're in the sneaker industry and you like choose which factories and what pricing and the quantity you want to produce. And I think I beat like a couple hundred kids at that. Got super aggressive on pricing. I basically was like cutthroat business person, long-term thinking right away. And I would like undercut them by like 2 pennies and like win that week. And I just kept winning.
It was like a business school class on strategy.
Yeah.
It's very funny hearing the way their conversation is about that versus ours.
Right. But if you would take away the same idea from either our conversation, was that last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was.
It might have even been a month ago.
Yeah. But when I heard that, I almost like spit out my breakfast. I'm like, they're talking about that. And this episode like just came out. And I'm like, huh. What are the odds?
That is really funny.
That was just one of those moments. I'm like, of all like the things in the world, what a coincidence.
Kidding. Wow. How I built this is good though.
It is a good show. Very good.
Sometimes I get away from it and I got to remember to go back. I've actually, you know what other show I've enjoyed lately that you recommended many, probably years ago at this point? I've liked Planet Money a little bit.
Oh, Planet Money's good.
Because it's not necessary. I thought at first when you recommended it, it was more of like a financial type podcast. It's more of like an economics.
Economics.
It's like you
played out in the world around us.
You pull one string over here. What does it do to someone in Japan? Like
it's not like investing.
No, it's just it's more the economy than
Right,
anything, but not
right.
the economy in the way they talk about it in the news. It's just, hey, someone did something over here and it affected them over here, and then this
like,
happened over here. And
Some crazy stories.
It is.
too. You know, like how like geese farmers in like just like this craziest stuff, and then like how you just
and they're also
puzzle
like
pieces go
20 to
together.
30 minute episodes, so they're fast.
Yeah, it's good.
But if you need
Some are better than
if you
others,
need a
of course,
reminder
but-
that we're all connected in ways
Yeah.
that you wouldn't guess, that show does a good job of showing that.
What's the can action that we got
Oh,
any cans going? Or?
We're just going with a classic here.
Okay. Is it an aha?
It is not an aha. It's a polar.
Oh,
Polar
that's how you know it's
line.
cold. Some crispy crack on there.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yep. Still good. Still good.
That's good. So I've got this fun little game. This is a new segment, never before heard on the Massenomics podcast.
Would you say it's one of the fastest growing, newest segments?
To be determined after
On
this
the
week's
growing
episode.
part?
To be determined. The name of the game, what I wrote in Asana to throw Tommy off the trail is, has he seen it? The real name of the game is, has Tommy seen it?
Okay. Whew. I'm glad my assumption wasn't totally
And
wrong.
this comes from, our supporting members Discord crew have really been running with the fact that Tommy hasn't seen any movies.
Yeah, apparently I've
basically.
seen 0 movies.
This has come up.
So
seems to just like within the last 6 months, this has come up on the podcast a lot.
If there was one day, the flipping of the switch was when we started talking about Tom Cruise movies. And I'm like, I've seen
haven't
like
seen any.
2.
Yeah.
And that guy's been in a few movies in his day.
Yeah.
What was I just going to say about movies? Oh, okay. How many, if I had to ask you, how many movies have you seen in the last year? Like you sat down and watched a movie in the last year. How many do you think you'd say?
Like in the last 12 months?
Last 12 months, yeah.
I would say
Whether it's in a movie theater, at your house, whatever.
like 20.
Really?
20.
Really?
I'm just thinking like sometimes maybe more than one a
Okay.
month.
So that puts things into perspective, because
Yeah.
I was thinking of this to myself today, and my guess, I was gonna say maybe 5. That was my guess. So I'm
Yeah.
losing a lot of ground in the time.
See, my thing is I watch movies with my kids, you know,
Yeah,
like
I can't do that
like
yet.
at least once a month probably, you know.
I can't do that. I'm good at watching TV shows. I think I can give myself
Yeah.
credit there. I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
watched.
I think you've probably seen maybe more series than I have.
especially of the HBO catalog.
Yeah.
I feel like I've done a pretty good job there. But yeah, movies, I'm not. I'm bad. And actually, if I had to, I was started to guess if I think I've seen 5 movies in the last year. I was like, well, how many have I seen in the last 2 years? Maybe 10, maybe.
Right.
So my numbers aren't too good. They're not too good.
We got those are rookie numbers. We got to bring those numbers up. So this week in Has Tommy Seen It? We have 7 movies here.
7. Oh my god. Oh.
First of all, Tommy, out of these 7, before knowing anything else, there's a theme to these 7, but out of these 7, just 7 random movies, how many would you guess you've seen?
3.
Okay, 3, so under 50%. Okay, now knowing, has Tommy seen it? 1990 is the date that all 7 of these movies came out.
Okay.
It's the year that
I would have been 1 year old then, so
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
probably watching a lot of movies then.
and I handpicked these 7 special.
Okay.
I picked not the 7 like highest grossing movies of
But
1990,
7
but
pretty
7
popular
yeah,
movies.
like 7 that all stood out to me
Okay.
as like
Being noteworthy.
yeah,
Worth watching.
at least noteworthy.
Okay.
You know,
Well, even noteworthies tend to be worth watching.
right?
You know,
And so it's 1990. If I say 1990, do you still think 3 out of 7?
it might be 2. Well,
Okay.
I'll stick with 3, but it's
Okay,
probably going to
okay.
be 2.
So the first one in Has Tommy Seen It from 1990? Edward Scissorhands.
I've never actually seen all of Edward Scissorhands. I do remember as a kid, our neighbors like 2 doors down. I was probably like 4 or 5 at the time. They had Edward Scissorhands, and it terrified me. This freaking
Yeah.
white ass Johnny Depp with his scissor hands
Yeah.
freaked me out. So I couldn't watch the movie. It was too scary. And I have never sat and watched the whole thing. So yeah,
Okay.
I have not seen.
Big name, Johnny Depp in that one. Who's that? I can't remember.
He's a pirate now, is what he's known for.
But who made Edward Scissorhands?
Burton, right?
Yes, right.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
So what's that? That's the answer's kind of, or
well, see, I don't count that. Like,
okay,
if you say that,
you haven't really seen it.
Yeah, if you say that, like things like that, I've seen so many movies because
Yeah.
in college there was like the thing in college then, you know, everyone had DVDs and they were always playing, but
So we're
I've
saying
actually
no.
sat down, no,
No.
I'd say no, I have not seen it.
No.
I could not tell you what the plot is. I couldn't tell you why the hell he has these scissor hands. I don't know what is going on.
Okay,
there.
I have seen Edward Scissorhands. Next one, has Tommy seen it? From 1990, Arachnophobia.
No, I have not. Who's in that even?
I'm not sure. That's the least known of this list, but I just that movie stood out to me, not as something I've seen, but just like that people know about that movie.
I'm assuming it's spiders coming
Yeah.
after people.
Yeah.
No, I've not seen
So
that one.
that's a no. Okay.
0 for 2.
Pretty Woman.
I've actually not seen Pretty Woman.
Really?
I've seen chunks of it.
You don't know who's in Pretty Woman?
Richard Gere and what's her name? Can't think of her name.
Julia Roberts.
Julia Roberts.
Yep.
There you go. I was gonna. Yeah.
So that's a no on Pretty
No, I
Woman.
have
I
not
thought
seen
that between Edward Scissorhands and Pretty Woman, we might be at 2 yeses.
No,
from here.
I for the most part know the entire plot, and I've seen parts of it. I feel like that's a movie that was on TV all the time growing up, but I never sat down and watched it.
Okay. I've seen that probably a few times. Okay. Has Tommy seen it? 1990. Goodfellas.
I have seen Goodfellas. I've seen Goodfellas multiple times. Goodfellas, very, very good.
Yeah.
Goodfellas,
That's why they call it Goodfellas.
Yeah,
I think.
Goodfellas.
It's
Because it's a good movie.
Yeah.
Goodfellas. Goodfellas is great. That is one that everyone should see for sure. It's coming from a movie expert like me.
And what's
Martin
actor?
Scorsese, Ray Liotta.
Yeah. Yeah. And isn't what's his name in it? That's Meet the Fockers.
Robert De Niro.
Yeah, Robert De Niro's in it, isn't he?
I think so. And what's
That's Ray Liotta right there in the meme, right? That
yep,
yeah.
in the meme. Lots of good people in that.
I already know the answer to this one.
Joe Pesci. That's what I wanted to say. Big
Okay,
David said,
yeah.
there it is.
This is a Tom Cruise. There is a 1990 Tom Cruise
Oh
movie.
boy. Oh boy.
Right in the sweet spot for Tom Cruise, really, here in 1990. Has Tommy seen it? I already know the answer. Days of Thunder.
No, I don't. Is that the racing one?
Yeah,
I do
yeah.
need to watch that. I
Yeah.
gotta watch that. No, because that's like, is it a NASCAR or is it just like a oval track?
NASCAR.
It is NASCAR.
Yeah,
Actually. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I gotta watch
But it's
that.
very 1990 NASCAR.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel. It's very dirty. Like they're always just absolutely filthy. I'm like, how are you?
It doesn't have all the glamour and
No,
glitz of
no, no.
modern day racing.
No. Second to last one here in 1990. Has Tommy seen it? Dances with Wolves.
I have not seen Dances with Wolves. It's a classic. It's filmed in South Dakota.
Yes.
Kevin Costner has also left his mark in West River,
Even
Western
filmed in
South
South
Dakota.
Dakota.
He has restaurants and bars he's invested in out there. I mean, it was big for South Dakota, and I have not seen it.
To be fair, I've never watched all of it.
It's
I
a
keep
long-
thinking
isn't it
about
like
watching
3.5
it.
hours?
Yeah.
I'd love to see it. I've just never.
One of a boy that was in my class that they had horses, a lot of horses, and their horses were used in Dances with
really?
Wolves. Interesting fact.
Yeah.
Okay, last one.
So
1990.
this would get me to 2, which is not enough.
Yes.
I'm at 1. I'm 1 for 6 right now.
Yes.
And
Proving
you've done pretty good job not picking obscure movies.
No.
either.
The theme of this is not going to be it's going to be the only one I think that's a little off the rails is arachnophobia. Yeah. But I think
But
it's good
also
to throw in
there's-
like
yeah.
a couple that are because maybe you have seen them.
I think you've had very fair
Yeah.
picks so far.
1990, last one. This involves a friend of the podcast, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Has Tommy seen it? Total Recall.
I have actually, and the only reason I've seen this because there's a lot of Arnold movies I have not seen. A lot.
Jingle All the Way.
I've actually seen Jingle All the Way a lot too. The only reason I've seen Total Recall, I've never seen Twins. Only reason I've seen Total Recall is because the last job that I actually worked for a company for Christmas, one of everyone there knew I was the guy that lifted. I got someone as like a Secret Santa type gift. You do that whole thing. Someone got me Total Recall on DVD. I'm like, well, if they got it for me, I better watch it. It's a good movie.
Yeah. So 2 out of 7.
2 out of 7.
Not very good.
I really thought once we started going there, I was only going to have the 1.
I would guess those playing along at home, a lot of you might maybe outscored 2 out of 7. Depending on how old you are, though. If you're 20, you maybe haven't seen many of those movies. Which of those movies would you have watched by now?
Dances with Wolves is pretty big.
I feel like Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah, that was kind of a cult classic.
Right. Yes.
I like how I'm saying how people should have seen that movie when I haven't myself. I would think a lot of people have seen at least 3 or 4 of those.
Yeah. Out of the best, my favorite out of the list is Days of Thunder, although a lot of people think that's one of Tom Cruise's shittier movies, I believe. But I just like it. I don't know. Yeah, I'm going Days of Thunder. Okay.
I'm going Goodfellas.
Yeah. It's one of the few you've seen. It's either that or Total Recall. Is like. So that's Has Tommy Seen It? Well, now I think we can officially say it's one of the fastest growing segments on the podcast.
Yep. Now that we've got one under our belt here. That was fun, though. I like that. Gives me something next week, 1991.
Hey,
God,
you already know the pattern, and
that means we only have like 20 years left, and then we're done.
Oh, we can always go older.
Oh, I thought the rules were once it was set, you can only move forward.
I figured 90 was a good building point, though. Much older than that, I'm like, that gets a little too old for us almost.
I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I think
what do you think your best year is going to be?
I think I'm going to do pretty good at 1999.
Oh, okay, yeah.
1999, I had like Fight Club,
Austin Powers,
and I think Austin Powers, The Matrix, American Beauty. There was 7, Office Space. Like 1999 was
good year,
huge for movies. Yeah,
huge for movies that you've seen.
I think just action movies in general. I think a lot of people would say that was one of the best years for movies ever.
Yeah. Sister Act. Was that a 90? Have you seen Sister Act?
I have not. No,
I have.
1 or 2.
I'm not sure the difference. I've probably seen them both. Let's see. I was going to hit you with a couple podcast reviews. That's the thing we're doing again, if you haven't picked up on it.
Let's do it.
First one is from Bubba925, and he just says, first comment. Not sure if that's true on the podcast reviews, but good try. Next one is from D. Syracuse. I don't know what that is. Okay. If you're not taking your mom's phone to leave another review, do you even listen to the Massenomics podcast?
No,
that's just good. That's good advice. Next one is from Big Des Troy. Do you like weather updates from a state that you aren't sure you could fit on a map or find on a map? Then do I have the podcast for you? Join local South Dakota meteorologist Tanner and Tommy as they answer all of life's fast food snack related questions. Next one is from Captain America 556. This podcast is like a McDonald's apple pie. You don't know it exists, but once you get it inside of you, it leaves you wanting more. Great podcast. I learned so much about nothing. Good reviews right there.
Those are rave reviews.
And then
I could picture any one of those on a billboard.
Yeah, and I know that Has Tommy Seen It was a brand new segment, but this next one is just a relatively new segment to the podcast that's supporting our supporting members.
All right. Yep.
So for anyone that doesn't know, we have the supporting membership option for our podcast. You can go on our site, sign up for it. There's different levels that you can sign up for, and a lot of different perks that go along with those levels, like being able to join our Discord community, where we call those our Discord crew, where we came up with that Discord crew. We patented that.
CRU.
Yes.
It's been in the works for quite a while.
Yeah. So
you could say, I don't know, a year and a half.
Yes.
Maybe 2 years now.
Yeah. So we invented that. You get to listen live to the show like the crew is right now. There's a discount code in there that you can use. What else, Tommy? We randomly send stuff out sometimes.
We randomly send little
membership
gifts
cards.
You get to listen to the first half hour of the podcast live. We live stream it.
First look at new drops and, just some insight as to what we're planning with that sort of stuff.
But really, the real gift is just joining a community, an active community of like-minded individuals in the Massenomics Discord. And I do not use the word active lightly. It is an active community.
That's well said.
If you think you got some time on your hands and you're tired of Instagram comments, move on over to Discord.
Yes. It's a whole nother level. there's levels to this thing. And then each week on the show, we like to give back to these people a little bit. So first one is for Big Ethan. It's actually Big Ethan 2 in the Discord. He competed in his 5th powerlifting meet. He went 8 for 9, which is an awesome day. He squatted 639, a huge squat. He said that's a lifetime PR.
Yeah.
424 bench. Big bench. That's a 22-pound meet PR and a 672 deadlift for a 1735 total at 3.8. There's some big lifts right there.
You're moving the 1700 barrier.
Yes.
You're pushing weight.
That's also a big lift segment.
That is.
Okay, this next one's is a good one. This is our only other supporting member topic for this week. This goes back to July 17th. I won't tell you what year, but this goes back to July 17th. Big Toby Spees had an unassisted triple play in his Pee-wee game. He caught a line drive at shortstop for the first out, tagged the runner going to third for the second out, and stepped on third to double off the runner going home for the third out. This is the rarest play in baseball. In Major League history, this play has only been accomplished a very few times. Toby will be in 2nd grade when he starts school this fall. So we were a little behind on this. Toby's an adult now, but still wanted to give Toby a shout out. Anyone in the Discord, if you could find Toby on there and tag him and let him know he just got shouted out for an unassisted triple play. The rarest play in baseball, they say.
That is pretty remarkable, actually.
It is quite a crazy.
A lot of things got to go just right for that to go down.
I don't know if it's even something to even process. It almost just have to be reactive. You can't even be thinking about those things that are as they're going at all, right?
Unassisted triple play. I saw it pop up in the Discord, and for some reason I was thinking it was a triple. Like he hit a triple. I didn't get the triple play part of it.
Yeah, got 3
is that
people
hard
out
for kids to get to third base from.
Also, there's so many circumstances have to be like no one
Just
can be
perfect.
out. There has to be at least 2 runners on the bases.
Those runners have to be relatively close to you.
Yes.
Yeah, the ball has to go to the right spot.
So we'll even support our supporting members for things that happened decades ago.
There's no expiration date on achievements.
No. You know what else there's no expiration date on?
What?
Juggernaut AI.
No, there ain't. Well, technically, if you forget to renew your credit card,
it
would expire. Well, besides that, as long as your funds are good, it goes forever.
That doesn't go as good with my transition there. Just saying.
Kind of a stickler for the details. It's just how I am.
Yeah, you can sign up for Juggernaut AI. It's the training app and programming that we both use. You go to the web browser and sign up. It's important that you go to a web browser and not through the app on your phone, because when you go to the web browser, that's where you can use our discount code. That is Massenomics, and that will save you 10% on the lifetime of your membership for the programming for the app.
The lifetime of your membership for the lifetime of the membership, right?
Right, exactly.
Yes.
That's as long as it doesn't expire, your credit card numbers. And like I said, it's the training we use. It's principle-based training. And we were just telling Big Matt at the gym about it the other day.
We were giving a real sales pitch.
Yeah, we were giving them the rundown, and it's kind of easy to sell when people start asking you things about it.
And they go, really?
Yeah,
they thought of that, huh?
Yeah.
Like, well, but what about when this happens to me and this? Like,
you
really?
answer
That's
those
in there
questions. Yeah,
too, huh?
yeah. So a lot of what we were talking about is kind of how it customizes to each individual over time, and the longer you do it, the more it customizes to you, and also all the information you're inputting besides just the sets and reps you're performing. Everything that you're putting in there that's helping determine your weights and sets and all the feedback that you're giving it. So we would encourage you to get signed up.
Yeah.
We would encourage you to use our discount code.
Juggernaut got me to bench over 300 pounds again for the first time
in a hot minute, wasn't it?
In years.
That was just today.
And I've known for a little bit, I've had this in me because I did 300 for a triple a couple weeks ago.
Right.
So if you do 300 or for a double, you get it for a double, you got more than that. But
right.
I play by the rules. I'm following the program. I was not going off program. Today I had 305. It felt great. There's more there. So
moved like a snack.
I can see all-time gym PRs like within reach again. Like those felt like those were just light years away, and now I can almost see them again. They're coming.
Yep.
So just got to keep grinding.
At least in part thanks to the Juggernaut AI.
At least in part, like thanks and all to it. God, it's stupid how the first time to get to 300 takes like years.
Right.
It takes like years.
Right.
And all of a sudden I've had 6 good months of benching and I'm
back at
past
it.
300.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
how does that work at all?
At a lighter body weight, nonetheless, too.
Yes,
Probably.
I know. It does not make any sense.
Yes. Okay. And what do you got? Something over there
I got,
for us, too?
I got a little something over here. I'm going to tell you about Texas Power Bars. Buddy Caps first started lifting weights in the late 60s and began powerlifting in the mid 70s. At the time, he was working for Image Barbell building gym equipment. Around 1976, a local machine shop started making Olympic bars for them, calling it the Image Bar. In 1977, Image Barbell became Champion Barbell. It was then that Buddy started looking at the bars with an intent of changing them for the better. In 1979, Buddy bought his first lathe to begin addressing the known issues. In 1980, his passion, drive, and purpose now had a greater mission. Buddy set out on his own to make what he believed was the greatest bar he'd ever seen and trained with, and the Texas Power Bar was born. It was strong as a house with the best knurling and was maintenance-free. Hundreds of state, national, international, and world powerlifting records have been and continue to be set and broken on the Texas Power Bar. To learn more about Texas Power Bars and buy one of their legendary bars, visit texaspowerbars.com. Flying Ryan D in the gym today could have put together a testimonial video for Texas Power Bars.
Yep. He tried using a different
Said,
bar.
This one, not enough. This one's too aggressive. Texas deadlift bar, just right.
The Goldilocks zone, as Gabriel Pena would call it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was a true Goldilocks
Like
zone.
to the point where he was up to
He literally even did that. No, not enough, too much,
Yep.
just right.
He had a bar loaded with over 500 pounds on
Yeah.
it and stripped it all down and moved it over to the Texas deadlift bar.
And then his rep with more weight looked better with the Texas deadlift bar
It did.
than the other one.
It did.
It was the Goldilocks zone.
Yep. It's Texas. That's what Texas Power Bars get you.
Now, do we want to? We're gonna get into our GOAT powerlifter draft. Do we want to?
I did see Big Ol' Scants did remind us that The Rock did strike again in town.
And I got to see it in
Oh my
person
God.
for the first time.
That is insane.
Yeah, yeah.
I cannot believe that.
And I saw it on the Facebook page has like 5,000 followers now, so people are posting about it all the time. And the second, like, it must have been within minutes it happened. There was like 3 or 4 people that posted it on there. So I'm like, I think this is just happening right now. So I was leaving
And
work.
it's like a block from
Yeah,
your
and I
work,
drove by and I'm like, yeah, there it is.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I was actually had left work, was going a different way, and circled around real quick. I'm like, I got to see if that's there right now. There was like 3 cop cars there.
It's
like they must have to come like once a week to get people off the rock.
It sure seems like it, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
You think they'd put some reflectors and paint on that thing or
It
something?
is a funny thing.
Because at this point, it does cost the city money to be
always
always
time.
yeah. Just assuming time is worth. I mean,
Call the ambulance. Someone's on the rock again. Like,
Well,
do
we
they
gotta
just
send
use it
2
as a
cop cars out every
lecturing
time?
point? Like, be like, you are obviously on your phone. Like,
Well, yeah, like what else is the reason you drove over the grass median and over a rock that's
and
like
now
2
you
feet
are
tall?
high centered on the rock.
Your vehicle can't touch the
Yeah.
wheels. Don't touch the ground because
Yeah.
you're so high on this rock.
Yeah.
It is always like the same. It seems like it that it's the same mid-size SUV
Yeah,
of
it's
some
like,
kind.
how
propped
many
up on that thing.
Chevy Traverses can get stuck on this rock?
Yeah, like Chevy when they come out with the new Traverse need to come film the commercial there. It's like now
Like
with
a rock.
with more rock climbing ability than ever before.
Yeah. Like a rock. I don't think that's what.
I think
had
that's
in
what
mind,
Chevy
did
meant
they? Yeah.
when they wrote that ad campaign.
Yeah. Who is that sings? Who sings?
I don't know who is that by.
Is it McDonald or something?
Let's find out right now.
I know. I can't. I'm embarrassed that I can't think of that.
It is
Bob Seger.
Yes,
Yeah.
Bob Seger.
Yeah.
Let me some night moves.
Samsonite.
Yeah.
We were way off. Now, do we want to kick the Discord crew off or let them stay on for the powerlifter draft?
I don't know. Do they want to stand for a little bit?
Oh, we could. Let's just
We
let
could just
them on,
magically
and
pull
then
the
just
plug
like
on 'em?
we'll just randomly
Okay.
pull them off when they least expect it. Get them real comfortable, and then yank it out from underneath of them. All right, we got to call both of them, so we have to call one of them
for
first.
the Massenomics podcast.
We'll
merging calls.
We'll try Steve here first because he popped up. And what do I press then when I do the?
There should be the add call button should light up once he's on.
Right, makes sense. Well, if one doesn't answer, I guess we'll get the other.
It's going to make it really easy to just only have to call one of them. It's going to speed this draft up.
Hi, this is Steve.
Oh, that was was that an actual answer?
He said, "Oh," I was like, "Oh."
I just for
thought you hung up on him for a second because of your reaction. I thought it was his voicemail.
It was, right?
Okay, yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Just the fact that he said, "Oh."
Yeah. Well, then it just made me. I just had a.
That'd be a weird way to answer the phone.
Yeah. Right. Right. We'll try Angelo first then.
Mr. 14-0.
Yeah. Maybe they're gonna punk. This is their way of like punking this.
Sticking it to the man. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Oh. Big Angelo, is that you?
Yes, it is. How are you, boys?
We're doing well. Glad to have you on here. Long time no talk.
Yeah, am I the second appearance that you've ever had?
No, you're not the first, but
damn it, I'm fucking leaving. All right, it's not the first.
It's not an extremely long list though, so it's still prestigious.
And then when you say people that have podcasts that have been on twice, it's an even smaller list.
That's true.
So you're in pretty exclusive.
Getting into elite company.
Yeah, very elite exclusive company.
We're gonna try to add Steve to the call now. Okay.
Okay.
So you hang tight.
If you don't want to add him, it's okay.
You can't see us what we're doing here, so you'll just have to take our word for it.
This was a trap. Steve's already on the line. We just wanted to see what you would say about him when he's not here.
He knows that I'm not very fond of him.
Okay, we'll be right back. Maybe.
Okay.
All right, Tanner's clicking the buttons.
All right, we're calling Steve. Hopefully he answers this time.
Hello?
Big Steve, is that you?
Yep. Sorry, I'm trying to get my headphones to work, and it was on my computer, and it wasn't working, so I'll just talk to my regular phone. But yes, it's me. I'm here.
Well, you sound crystal clear. So
yeah.
good.
Whatever you're doing, it's working well. We're gonna merge in Angelo back in, but before we do, is there anything you want to say bad about him because we called him first and he kind of was shit talking you. So this would be your chance where he can't respond to whatever you want to say.
Oh, I was gonna say pretend like I'm not here and prank him like I never even showed up and you just had him on to like waste his time.
Well, we did tell him that.
We actually tried to trick him with that the first time.
Steve's been waiting the whole time.
Okay. We better bring him on then. Here he comes. All right, I believe we have Big Angelo and Big Steve together on the Massenomics podcast.
That's giving a lot of credit to someone who's like 5'6".
Everyone's big here, no matter what size you are. That's
okay.
That's a badge of honor just by being on the show.
When you're here,
Steve
you're
is
big.
6'6", 125 pounds, and he's talking about my height. That's great.
No, we're excited to get. We've got the full Two White Lights cast on. It's a little Massenomics Two White Lights mashup right here that we got going on.
We had to call off our banners. It sounds like I thought there was going to be a podcast war.
This is just
banners are.
Yeah, this is just a temporary truce. It goes back on after the show's over.
Okay, that's good. Well, funny story. When you made that meme, I'm like, okay, we got to think of something. And then we were actually fighting a war with what we said on Two White Lights with a bunch of people. So we had to act. We couldn't fight a two-front war.
So our fake little, our fun fake little thing didn't take precedent.
Yeah, we had to actually. We actually had to put out the fires of angry people. So.
Real actually angry people. Okay, well, I guess we got to try harder next time.
So what we're doing, and Steve, are you kind of the rules man on the drafts that you guys have done on Two White Lights in the past?
Yeah, I'm basically the rules man on everything. Okay. Angelo just shows up and I tell him what to do.
So what we're going to do here, and you can jump in anytime if I'm saying something wrong, but our thought on this draft, it's going to be, we're ripping this off from Two White Lights, but we thought the fairest way if we're going to rip something off from Two White Lights is we just have the Two White Lights guys on to also do it. So then you can't really complain about it. None of your listeners can complain about it because they're like, well, we involved you.
Yeah,
so
you're participating, so you endorse it by default.
By default, yeah, exactly.
I like it.
So this is going to be a greatest powerlifter of all time draft. We'll do it a snake draft format, and we're going to limit this to male only for the sake of it opens the door for us to be able to do a female only one in the future with you guys again as a follow-up to this. So this will be male only, and the idea is we're each picking, there's 4 of us, we're going around a snake draft, and we're each picking lifters that we considered to be the greatest of all time, and probably our justification of how we think that. There could be a number of different reasons why you think someone is in that caliber. And then at the end of it, how did you guys determine who really won then? Was it an Instagram story poll type of thing?
Yeah, we did a fan vote, but it's usually pretty rigged. Like, it just goes based off of clout and has no actual merit to it. So.
I assume you didn't. It sounds like you didn't win.
I don't think I won that one. I forget who won that one. I know the one after was ruined because
if it was based on the clout, I would have won. But actually, Joey Shepard won that one, and he was the guest we bought on. So,
oh god,
a solid team. You know, I don't know. Like the second one we did was because of the Wheeze vote.
Yeah, Sean Mills ruined our vote on the second one by completely screwing the vote and everything. I even got John Hack to share mine when we did the GOAT one, and I couldn't even get a win out of it. That's bad.
That is.
So
that's tough. Then if you with the hack share that you still can't make it happen.
Yeah.
Well,
so rules question though, are we talking anything? Untested, tested, raw, multiply, single ply, anything?
We're gonna put them all together. All men of powerlifting from any era, from any weight class, from any federation,
drug.
We'll throw them all together, and I think it'll make for maybe some interesting. It'll be interesting, maybe how you two pick versus how we pick, or all of us individually. I think there'll be some different thought process into it for some of those reasons. You guys, and for anyone that doesn't know, I'm not. You guys certainly are most involved in the drug tested world of the USAPL and IPF, but your knowledge certainly isn't limited to that. But that's kind of the background that you both come from. Is that fair to say?
That's decently fair to say. I did wonder, did you need me to share my draft board with you? I know like usually you guys don't really talk about powerlifting, so I didn't know your full knowledge on actual powerlifters. So did you need my draft board so you actually have a decent list of more than just like Dan Green?
If you could just text me those so I have some.
Yeah, like we'll leave put them in an order.
Yeah. If you could order those too and give me some notes, then we'd be really good.
Okay, perfect. I'll send those over real quick so that you guys sound like you are on par with us.
Are we saying Dan Green's off the table then? Because he was pretty high on my list.
I got a quick question though. Is it Massenomics team versus Two White Lights team, or is it?
We'll do four. We'll do individual teams just so that way we're getting, otherwise we'd only end up with, we'll get 4 teams of, we'll shoot for 5 rounds here if we can make it. If we only get through 4 and we take way too much time, we'll go with that. But we'll shoot for 4 or 5 rounds of 4 separate teams.
Yeah, that works because I don't want to be on Angelo's team because he drafted someone last time that he thought won a world championship that never did.
That probably didn't help my team out when I picked Sam Calhoun and she went on her story and it's like, I should not be considered one of the best powerlifters of all time.
That wasn't helping your case when the people were taking themselves off the list.
Yeah, that was some team chemistry problems right there with Sam Calhoun wanting off the team. So I love you, Sam. Thanks.
The one part I didn't prepare is the order here. So let's see. I need each of you 3 to pick a number between 1 through 5 right now. Tommy, you go ahead and go first.
1 through 5.
Yeah, just go through 1 through 5.
Okay, I'll say 3.
Tommy, you're the first pick. So you get first. Now, Angelo and Steve, this isn't the proper way to do this, but for the sake of time, I've got a different number, 1 through 5. Steve, you pick a number, 1 through 5.
2.
It is 2, so you're going second.
Okay.
Angelo, do you want to go third or fourth? Since you're the guest, I'll give you choice on this one.
Oh, sweet. 4th.
Okay, so the order is Tommy, Steve, Tanner, Angelo. That is our order. And
got it.
Tommy, if you are
the floor is mine.
Yeah, the floor is yours. We're going to get, unless you guys think there's anything else we need to cover on that, but I think the rules are fairly established here.
Yeah, I think we're good to go.
Okay, we're good.
Do we need like some effects to bring this in?
Yeah, do we have some?
Oh, the crowd is going
they're
wild.
excited.
Okay, here we go.
Nice. First pick of the draft.
So I think you guys made it pretty easy by letting me get the first pick like that. So first pick, don't think this is very controversial. I'm going to go with Ed Cohn. And it feels like there's not even really a whole lot you need to say to validate that or to make an argument for that. I mean, he's pretty unanimous voting if people would say he's the best of all time. Lightest to have a 2,400 pound total at the time, 5 IPF world championships, a squat of 961, bench 584, deadlift 901. That was back in the days when they had the rising bar too. So it was a whole different world there. He was the first one to do a lot of the things. I got to go Ed Cohn.
It is his name too, after all, right?
The name. The name. It's people know it. So I got to go Ed Cohn in my first pick.
Here, I mean, obviously I'm going to get the second pick, so I wouldn't pick Ed first. And I think Ed's very deserving of a top 2 pick, but you mentioned one thing that there's a big caveat there, 5 IPF world titles, but he got popped and got kicked out.
He did.
That's true.
You could say that's when he got really good though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the argument used on ours too. Was he got?
Well, it's going to be the same order because I had the second pick in Mars too, and I'm going to pick. I mean, I can just say it now. I guess because then it'll create a nice little debate between the two. But I'm going to go John Hack. I mean, I don't think there's any question there. And I think the difference. I mean, you're going old school versus new school. I mean, Ed Cohn. I think you didn't mention it, but I think the single most impressive thing I ever heard about him is the fact that one of his most famous world record deadlifts was back when they used to do like the weightlifting rules, where it wasn't like everyone does their attempt and they come back around. It's that he had to do 3 attempts in a row, which is insanity. And obviously he was way above his time. Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's the USAPL natty elitist in me, but there is a little bit of an asterisk there for the fact that he did go into IPF competition and get popped and get his that revoked.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair argument. Also, John Hack was like number 2 on my list.
Yeah, he's number 2 on my list too.
I assumed I was not going to get him.
Yeah.
It'd be really, really hard to not put John Hack in the very, very top. So I totally get that logic.
Yeah. So obviously I chose John Hack for the same reason someone would choose Ed Cohn. I mean, he's breaking every single record imaginable. I mean, I think the differentiator for me if I had the first pick, I'd take Hack for the reason that I do believe he did it clean on the IPF side. He had arguably one of the greatest head-to-head battles in history against Brett Gibbs and one of the biggest upsets of all time. And then went over to the untested side and then just rewrote all the record books all the way from 181 up to 220. And honestly, I think he's just going to keep going. I mean, I see him, obviously he's just now going into the 220 class. I assume, I don't know if it's his goal, but I could see him eventually going 242 and taking those records. And so it's kind of one of those things that I think maybe I would argue if we look back in 20 years, I think it's going to be a little bit easier of a debate. And I think we're going to say John Hack as the overriding greatest of all time, at least from our knowledge right now. But it's kind of weird to call him the greatest of all time for the fact that like he's still going. Like there's still more to come.
Right. And relatively young still too. I think that's the other thing that's like, okay, like how crazy will this get, assuming he can stay healthy?
Well, honestly, both him and Ed, probably everyone we talk about on there, one of the biggest caveats is they stayed healthy. Like you're not going to be on the greatest of all time list. That's one of John and Ed's greatest like strengths is not only were they really, really strong, they stayed healthy consistently.
One thing I would point out, like that's maybe that you'd say is in favor of Ed between the two, because they're my number 1 and 2 also. But so I get what you're saying about Ed getting popped on it on the IPF side, but like maybe he's a victim of the era by a little bit too, because like what percentage of those IPF lifters at that point in time were clean? Like I don't know what the answer to that is, but it seems like it was a little bit different point in time when that was more the norm, whether not saying it's right or wrong, but like it just seemed like much more common in that era.
That was like, oh, it's like a silent agreement.
Right.
Yeah, we're kind of all,
Right.
Yeah, that is very true. I have heard that. I'm not as knowledgeable since I don't think any of us were around there, but I've definitely heard from people that
Right.
that was kind of the situation back then, that it was kind of like, it's drug tested, but not drug free, where versus now,
Right.
versus now it for the most part, it actually is pretty darn drug free.
Right.
So
You're right. Okay. So I'm next up at number 3, and I'm going to take someone, I listened to your episode on this, and I can't remember the exact order of everyone, but I'm going to take someone that I think is being taken quite a bit higher than what they were taken in your draft. Maybe I'm wrong, but anyways, I'm going with Dan Bell. Highest ever total in wraps, highest ever total in sleeves. And he has, he's not a flash in the pan by any means. He's competed in, I'm not sure how many meets at this point in time, but the fact that he has lifted more than any other lifter ever in both wraps and sleeves, from a total, obviously not a dots or a coefficient perspective, but just straight up total. And to me, that is a little bit of the name of the game in powerlifting. I'm going Dan Bell at number 3.
Yeah, I was hoping he would maybe fall to me again, because I remember when we did the draft, he fell onto my team, and I was quite happy about that. Granted, it was 3rd round, so I think picking male and female,
right,
that probably what bumped him down on 2 white lights. But I think it's a solid pick, especially when you go super heavies. Like, he is the strongest guy, and hopefully he finally likes me. Because he confessed to me that he didn't like me for a number of years. I'm like, the fuck did I do? I was just sitting here. With a Chicago accent, just making podcasts. But
he said, "Hey, you're that 14-year-old powerlifter."
Yeah, it's like, I fucking hate teenagers. And I'm like, all right, shit, okay.
I eat pieces of shit like you for breakfast.
He just probably looked at. He's probably like, I hate everyone who's just smaller than me.
Yeah,
Maybe that was it. I don't know. But I was hoping I could get some brownie points and just pick him again. But that's a solid pick. Like you said, being the strongest guy, wrapped and raw, like he goes into both categories. But I guess, for me, I get to kind of play my USAPL IPF Elitist card here and just go Taylor Atwood again. Taylor Atwood would be my pick for going 1-1 again. And he has the most unprecedented total, 74 kilos, going 838. It's the greatest performance of all time, but it's just not based on that performance alone. He was doing things that thought were impossible. 2 years ago in 2019, even totaling 790, people were putting him in their GOAT category as far as powerlifters go. And he's just like sandbagging meets now and having the highest dots and whatever good lift points on the men's side in the IPF. And when you take into account, like, if he goes into dots too, Taylor Atwood would be just, I think, would he have a 600 dots, Steve? Or very close to it?
Taylor, yeah, he's gone over 600 dots. Yeah. He was the first USAPL or drug tested lifter to go over 600. Leah just joined him as the second person ever.
Yeah, so he's, I think, the tested GOAT right now. And like that for me, like, kind of takes the a solid number 1 overall pick. But then I get the rollover effect too, and I get to get Ray Williams as my second.
Yep. Ray's maybe who.
So that's why I love that. That's why I love the 4th. I love getting last, because then I just get 2 solid draft picks there. But Ray Williams, depending on the year, you're talking about greatest powerlifter of all time to certain people, and I think a lot of recency bias has kind of knocked him down a little bit recently. But he's a legend. Some of his accomplishments in powerlifting are still held to this day. It's like just insane prestige, which is hard sport to do it in. But even though he hasn't been the Ray that I grew up watching, or like I got into the sport watching, people just still know Ray of what he's done in the past, IPF Worlds, 1,000-pound squat, what he has meant to the sport as well. So yeah, I got Taylor Atwood, Ray Williams, kind of rounding out the USAPL IPF Elitist label too.
Well, I wouldn't
staying true to your roots.
I'd argue that's not even USAPL IPF elitist because Taylor Atwood has the highest total tested or untested, regardless, by like 80 pounds.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So he did that on a stiff bar in strict standards, and it's 80 pounds more than anyone else. And then Ray, same thing, basically.
Yeah, 2 hour weigh-ins.
Yeah, 2 hour weigh-ins.
Yeah. And then Ray, you can basically say the same thing. The only person that's beat him is Dan Bell, and you could argue that 30 pounds is maybe a deadlift bar difference to an extent when you're deadlifting 800 plus pounds. So like both of them, like they aren't even just like great for drug tested. They're just great all time.
Yeah, I think that's true. I would agree with that.
Very high on my list. I'm disappointed.
Okay, so I'm the next pick coming back for my number 2 pick, and the person I want to take next, I'm just trying to decide who I think is next to me, but I do not think in either of Steve's next 2 picks he is going to take him. I have some slight concern that Tommy might take him in either of his 2, but maybe not. But I'm going to take him anyways, just because to make a point, I am going to take Dave Hoff, the biggest powerlifting total ever, 3,103 pounds. He's been competing for 20 years, has competed in 60 plus meets, and I believe, obviously he competes in equipment, but has the highest dots number that's out there. I'm not positive on that last fact, but I think that might be the case. And I would say, for the 2 white lights guys' benefit, or anyone that's listening from that camp, we're not huge multiply guys over here. We've had a number of multiply guys on as guests and everything.
We don't worn equipment.
Never have. But I just think it's not my favorite style of powerlifting for sure. It's not what I enjoy watching the most by any means. I would also that Dave, out of the multiply guys, his squats always look pretty good to me from what I've seen out of his, like relative to some other stuff. I know it's a running joke out there, but Dave's in particular, like he hits some pretty good squats from what I've seen. And I just think that the biggest total of any power lifter ever over 3,000 pounds, like that's why I'm going with Big Dave.
I think when we did our 2 highlights episode, that was like the person we were getting DM the most about just not having him on any of our teams. And that was probably just true to the multiply stigma on the 2 white lights, like if you're USAPL IPF elitist, like you're not going to take a whole lot of multiply, but I mean, it is he is definitely in the conversation of greatest powerlifters of all time, especially within the era that he competed in. Right.
And yeah, it is a weird thing because like I said, we don't necessarily that's not our particular cup of tea. But I can wrap my head around the reasons. That's where I come up with it at.
Well, say one thing interesting there. I'm sorry to cut you off there, but you said like with his squat being legit, and I would agree with multiply squat. Like that was one of the guys that I'm like, yeah, he has a solid list. But I think with that big record he had, he just completely dropped his deadlift at the top, and they gifted it to him.
Yeah,
and
that stuff in general does seem to be more likely to happen in a multiply meet than obviously,
especially in the time too.
Right.
Yeah, my only caveat there with Dave being that high is he definitely has the highest total ever. When we did our draft, I did draft Laura Phelps because she, just far and above is the greatest female multiply lifter ever. But I feel like she was dominant during the era that multiply was popular. My only issue, this is being a little picky, is that Dave was kind of after, and I love competition. I love direct head-to-head competition. He never really had anyone pushing him, which maybe you could argue that was actually even more impressive that he wasn't really having anyone pushing him. He still did what he did. But I think if you go back, there are some multiply lifters that I might credit a bit in the fact that they were actually going direct head-to-head against the other best lifters in the world when multiply was kind of like the standard.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Then that brings up the thing. It'd be awesome to see Dave compete in wraps or sleeves once. I don't think that's something that would ever happen, but it would be really cool to see where he does shake out against those ones. But yeah, that's a good point.
So
also quick shout out here. I'm on Open Powerlifting. I just searched Dave Hoff, 19 years old, Texas, 324 dots. So shout out to him. On powerlifting, that's the first Dave Hoff that I get.
Other Dave Hoff, yeah.
Yeah, other Dave Hoff.
Yeah.
Dave Hoff, yeah, I mean, he has, like when you see Dave Hoff on a roster, you're like, holy shit. And then you look like, oh, it's just, a team lifter. Okay.
So now we're back to Big Steve.
All right. Well, I'm just going to end up drafting my same team again, I guess, because I'm going Sergey Fedoshenko. Which there might be a lot of people listening to this that have no idea what that name is, and it sounds crazy, but I mean, he's probably, we talked about some two highlights. I would take him over Taylor Atwood. He's the greatest IPF lifter in history. I don't even know how many IPF titles he has, because he basically wins every single year in the 59 kilo class in the single ply and the raw division. He's won the world games, I think, multiple times. He's won best lifter overall multiple times in both single ply and raw. I mean, he's the most dominant lifter in IPF ever. And you could argue, he's a 59 kilo lifter, which I think is valid. I mean, the fact of the matter is the lower the weight classes you get, you get to a point where it's just not competitive.
Right.
But the thing is his totals are comparative to people up a weight class, and he wins by 60 to 70 kilos every single time. It's not even close. Like, he's just in a league of his own completely. And if you're taking like coefficient score, like I said, he's won best overall lifter at IPF Worlds on the single ply side and the raw side, regardless of weight class, just using coefficient score. So, and then doing it forever, since 2002? So he's been going since 2002 until still going today.
Yeah, that's
what weight class is he?
Boys.
It's like
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, well, Angelo, what were you gonna say about that?
Yeah, the Massenomics boys. I'm like, they kind of made an argument that they shouldn't exist.
Right. Because what weight class is it?
66 kilos.
I usually would agree.
From
He's the one outlier, in my opinion. Otherwise, I would completely agree there. But he's just the outlier in the fact, the dude has a 1478 total, weighing 128 pounds.
You know, most people agreed with that statement that we put out. The only flack we took from people was girlfriends of guys that lift in those classes and guys that lift in those classes.
So it was a very small.
There's only 10 of them that existed.
Yeah, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was a really small group.
What's gonna really happen to you if you insult a 59 kilo male? Like, it's not a whole lot.
Shoe fly.
But on top of that, Steve, I love the second contradiction.
I know it's coming.
Yeah, IPF meet. So
yeah,
he did pop.
He did get popped, and it seemingly kind of got covered up.
Yeah.
How convenient.
And
he's from Russia. Of course.
Yeah.
Obvious stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's crazy though. He's 59 kilos. Apparently, he's taking some performance enhancing drugs and still 59 kilos.
Well, that's impressive.
He is really short though. Like when you look at the squat stand, it is on like the very bottom.
It's like, is somebody coming to bench press?
Yeah, I know. I think our bench is probably higher. I think it's probably higher when we bench than.
All right, get it going. Just more 59 kilo hate. Love
it. My turn.
Yep, you got double.
I'm actually going to keep us in Russia while we're at it here and say Andrei Malanichev.
Okay.
And this guy, if you want to talk longevity, he's not competing anymore. But if you look in open powerlifting, his first meet is all the way back in '98. His last one is in 2019. Still placed first in that very first one. He probably has, 40 or 50
60
meets to
plus
name.
meets.
60 plus. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't count them all because there's so many here. Where Tanner and I were talking about this, where guys that are in the untested side, where it's a little different, is when you go the tested route, you can always say, like, winning a national title is a big deal, especially in America. You have quality competition. Winning a world title is always a big deal because it's the world. The untested side, they don't do that good a job at getting all the biggest names together. So having big meets to your name is a little tougher to do, but you could say he won like the heaviest meet ever 2 times in a row. Big Dogs 1 and Big Dogs 2. He won both of those, and Big Dogs 1, he had a total of 2,500. He might have been the first guy was he the first guy to break 2,500?
First ever to break 2,500.
Okay, which I think that's a huge barrier right there. His biggest totals with wraps being 25-13. I mean, the guy is kind of a living legend of powerlifting.
We got to be with him in the animal cage a few years ago.
We got to go right in front of him, take some pictures. I don't think
talk to him a little bit. He doesn't speak English very well, but kind of from what we could tell, he seemed like a really nice guy.
Yeah, very like the gentle giant.
Yes,
type.
yes.
But no doubt, ridiculous longevity, ridiculous competition resume, and
I think he started IPF also too. If a lot of these people on the list, they start then make that transition
in '98 World Juniors IPF. Yeah. He is one guy too where towards the end of his career, if you were to talk physiques, he does look somewhat unassuming.
Yeah.
If you find footage of him from back in the day, he is jacked. Yeah. He's huge.
I always wondered too, because I don't know how true this was, but I heard that like in Russia, they get paid for each world record. So he would just kind of sandbag it and only break it by like 2.5 kilos each time. So he kept getting, I don't know how true that is, but I always felt like he never fully unleashed his potential. Like I always wondered.
True. Yeah, I think that was
I always wondered what he could have done, because he kind of unfortunately kind of sputtered out before I really feel like he put together because I wonder how that would compare to like what Dan Bell is doing, because I always felt like Andre left so much in the tank that I always wondered if he went all out, what would that total have been?
Yeah, and I think he kind of got the injury bug towards the end there where he just couldn't quite get over the hump.
We would have had to have their primes, Dan and Andre's primes, perfectly line up to really push those two, which would have been the ultimate test to see. So what do you got next coming back? So this is first pick of round 3.
First pick of round 3. I was really hoping there'd be some more surprises, because it's actually shook out almost exactly how I expected so far. I'm really torn on this one. I'm going to go Donnie Thompson, Mr. 3K. Okay. Tanner, you kind of one-up me with Dave Hoff, being that he did he does have the higher total, but again, Donnie Thompson, so being the first to do it, I do think is a huge barrier there. Also with Donnie, if we're talking powerlifting, he's had outside of just strictly competing, he's had a ton of contributions to powerlifting in general, which I think does help contribute to him being one of the greatest powerlifters of all time. So I'm going to go Donnie Thompson on this one.
He does give us some shit sometimes, and I'm not sure in what vein it's always what position he's coming from, but I guess I won't hold that against him too much. What do you guys think of that one? Would be the more interesting take.
I think I'm not against Dave Hoff, since he has destroyed every record ever, but going a second multiply lifter in top
is
3
a bridge too far.
Is I think you're I don't know. I can't go there. Give them their one little take, but that was about it.
I don't know. I mean, there's some multiply lifters I might have above him there. But I don't want to give up the draft potentially for other people. I don't know. Again, I guess with just like the one raw meet he did was at 512 dots. So, I get that information at my disposal, and it doesn't make me feel good. The thing when the 512 dots is the raw total, and no mean to brag here, but his deadlift was slightly above mine. So it just kind of like that goes along with it. I mean, still a massive total on there, but yeah, it's like we're going based on formulas, and so I mean definite legend. But I don't know, as far as multipliers go, there was 2 guys that I might have picked above him potentially, just in that division alone. But I mean, you're not going to see a whole lot of equipment on my draft board anyway.
Okay, all right. So Big Steve, back to you.
All right, I'm picking a guy that I really regretted not taking in the 2 white lights draft, and some old timers really gave me flack on it, because honestly, I think he could be taken top 3. And there is zero kickback, if you really know about him, is Mike Bridges. Anyone want to say they actually know who Mike Bridges is?
I wonder if we've done a Lifting Legends post on Mike Bridges.
Mike Bridges
destroyed on 2 white lights. So
yeah, so Mike Bridges, I had heard about him, and it wasn't until I got a little more information, I'm like, okay, if we do this draft, I cannot not draft Mike Bridges, because he honestly could probably go top 3. He from what I understand, if you grew up in the era of him, he was egg cone. He was 1A and 1B with egg cone. It's just for some reason, Ed, I think probably because he stayed a little bit more involved, kind of retained the GOAT title. People from that time swear that Mike Bridges could easily out-total Taylor Atwood and Russ Orhey right now if he wanted to. I mean, if you're going back, I mean, he was back in the 80s, back when it was single ply, but it was back when, like, supposedly single ply was just like the nice Titan singlets now. He totaled mid 1800s at 165, and he totaled 2100 at 181. Yeah. And this is also on crappy equipment, on those little squat rack stands, all that kind of stuff. And I think he only lost like one meet ever. Like only like one time ever did he ever not finish first in a meet. It was something crazy like that. Like if you talk to someone who was, because he only competed IPF and USPF, I think, and then USAPL, which like those were all the IPF federations. He never did any of the untested side. But the fact that he seemingly was completely drug free and doing those numbers at that time is absolutely insane. And honestly, I think if there was a little bit more background on him, he probably would be going top 3 in the GOAT status. People just don't know about him.
I think that's
a solid pick there.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Okay.
As far as some of those OGs too.
Background to me for my third pick. I'm stuck between two guys, and I'm just trying to think if Angelo's going to pick either of them in his Angelo, could you tell me the two guys you're thinking about picking next?
I'm thinking of Gerald Dioneo and who else here? Who else? And
Evan Cardone.
And my friend and Evan Cardone. Those are my two guys.
Oh, the car door.
So if you want to take those if you want, I'll fight you for it.
Do you know that we've had Evan Cardone on the podcast as a guest in the past?
I heard. I mean, there's no fucking way I'm listening to the podcast. Sorry, boys. There's no way I'm listening to that. But I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, you tried to get him to talk about Garrett, and he just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, we kind of were goading him into things the whole time, and he
I actually forgot about that.
Yeah, that's been a while.
The only thing I remember, the thing that stuck out the most to me was he had a signature scent, a cologne.
He was pitching his cologne.
Yeah, he was pitching his cologne, and that blew my mind.
Oh, was it vodka flavor? Was it vodka scented?
You know, the biggest thing, not to shit on him too much, but I felt kind of bad because he was so deeply concerned with the number of followers that he had on Instagram to a level that I haven't really so genuinely concerned that I hadn't really, I could just hear it in his voice and the way he was talking
very
about
specific with exact numbers.
And I was just like, that is an unhealthy level of and I get it to people use this to make money, and we're guilty of the same thing, but it just felt personal, and I don't know. I didn't feel good about the way he felt about it.
We can move on. We can move on.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go to fill out my roster right now. I've got Dan Bell, biggest total ever raw and in wraps. I've got Dave Hoff, biggest total ever in multiply. So I'm going to go Blaine Sumner, biggest ever single ply total. That's my justification. I just want all the biggest totals of all time on my list, and the next one to knock off would be Blaine, and he was actually next on my list. So
I thought on that lead up, it makes sense, but I thought you were just going to go all D's and go Dan Green. I thought you were just going to make sure to have the big D team.
Not yet. He's still on there, but no, I'm going Blaine Sumner, the Vanilla Gorilla.
Yeah, that's a good pick. That was one that we didn't draft on the two white lights one. That I was like, how did he not get drafted?
Yeah, I was looking to redeem somehow you saw through my ploy here, and you didn't believe Gerald Dioneo and Evan Cardone being picked there. But yeah, that was legit going to be my next pick. Great pick. I mean, again, with me, that would have been great to have Ray Williams and Blaine Sumner on my team. That would have just been also just Taylor Atwood, Ray Williams, Blaine Sumner, just a all-American USAPL powerhouse. This Team America right there. That's when I think of three men competing in the USAPL, it's those three guys.
Yep.
Especially because of how just absolute, badass Blaine Sumner was at IPF Worlds, where he was just talking shit to the Russian lifters and bringing a flag on the platform when he wasn't supposed to.
Yeah, like cover his face in chalk because there's only so many forms of expression he could get away with, and
it's like most American moments. That one's top 5 for me. It's right up there with like storming the beach in Normandy, just like that. Blaine Sumner, just all like the dream team, and then Blaine. Yeah, it's a Miracle on Ice. Blaine Sumner is up there as well. Excellent pick. I'm gonna go old school on this one. Kind of piggybacking off Steve. Gene Bell would be my next pick. Gene Bell, very similar to Mike Bridges, like competing since the 70s, and the numbers he was putting up at like 181 pounds was ridiculous. And we don't know, we do have an idea. It was pretty much raw, and he was doing things that we really can't fathom right now. It's actually insane to see his career. If you just go into open powerlifting, it's just awesome. I love doing that. Just going to open powerlifting and checking out these old school powerlifters, the years they competed and the numbers they were putting up, and trying to equate it to what it would mean now and what would happen if you were able to give them the same equipment and the same type of training, because everything's under single ply, but it's raw lifting. It just is. Absolute legend. Also, he turned into my best friend at nationals because he wanted to get a cigar with me, and he messaged me about getting cigars a lot. And I'm like, this is amazing. I didn't know this would happen, that me and Gene Bell would be sharing a cigar on a balcony in Daytona, and him just messaging me hey, the next time you're in Texas, let's get a cigar. I'm like, this is cool. So, Gene Bell.
As well as he's still more jacked than everyone.
Oh, yeah. He at 60 years old, I wish I could do half the stuff he's doing. Apparently, there's stories of him just overhead pressing insane numbers and benching insane numbers at TSS. Currently at his age, and he looks just amazing.
Yep.
I think he's in his 60s. Well into his 60s. It's ridiculous. His longevity in his career. For my next pick, God, it would have been so good to have Blaine Sumner. I'm going to go Bill Kazmaier.
Oh, good choice. I think.
I just picked him. I picked Bill Kazmaier. There's a person who I potentially would have picked over him, but I won't get too deep into it. But Bill Kazmaier, again, absolute legend in the sport, crossover success as well. I don't. Do you guys know he's in the WCW? He was a wrestler. He was a professional wrestler.
I don't think I knew that.
I didn't. I mean, he wasn't quite he wasn't the big superstar thing, but still he was on WCW and that was his gimmick as World's Strongest Man, kind of before the Mark Henry thing happened. And but I mean, just accomplishments in powerlifting and strongman as well. An absolute unit of a man, and definitely I think in the GOAT conversation.
Yeah, he did also in the WCW. He challenged the champ Lex Luger multiple times, and he played college football at Wisconsin and tried out for the Green Bay Packers in 1981.
Yeah, this unit, unit of a man, and also top 5 powerlifting name, right?
Yeah,
that's why I named my dog after him.
Yeah, he's he's a one name guy, and you know who you're talking about.
He'd probably be. I mean, the fact of the matter is
strong name.
I think he would be the great. I think him and Zydrunas Savickas are the 2 strongest human beings to ever walk this planet. But they made more money doing strongman, so why do powerlifting?
Right.
They probably chose the right thing to do.
I mean, I have another person who I think is up there with them, but it might be picked in the draft. Steve, if you want to piss me off, you could pick this person. Because I think I know you. I think you know me well enough to know who I'm thinking about.
I don't know, but I know who I'm picking next if Tanner doesn't pick him.
Okay, so I'm up now then for my fourth round back around. I'm going to go Yuri Belkin.
Gosh, that's who I was going to take.
And I think he's a good, in the 4th round, I think he Like I would have had him maybe slightly higher in just
Deal.
my own personal list.
He should have gone higher than 2 multiply lifters.
So I'm going Yuri Belkin. I think of men, raw with wraps, second highest dots of all time, I believe. And he competed. He also used to compete tested, drug tested. Maybe who knows about drug free, but he made those transitions of doing both, which a lot of these really good guys that we've mentioned have. And he's pretty iconic in the sport of powerlifting. I'm not sure how many meets he competed in, how long his run was, but there was certainly a point in time here where it seemed like every big meet, if Yuri was coming, he was going to win it.
I mean, I honestly, I was looking through people and I was like, I don't know why I didn't take him round 3, because I think he could have gone in the first round. Like, I mean, if Hack didn't exist, Yuri, I mean,
Right.
It's almost like Hack kind of made Yuri kind of seem not as GOAT-esque. If it wasn't for John Hack, I think Yuri could very arguably be the GOAT of this generation and would have been the second pick.
Yep. I think so too. Big Steve, back to you.
Well, now I got to think, because that was my pick. I'm debating now between a couple people. I don't know if I'm gonna do I stick to natty elitism or do I branch out? Because I basically, all right, I guess I'm gonna be natty elitist, because I was really mad that I didn't take this person the last time. And if we do an Instagram vote, I am for sure losing. Like, there's no way I'm winning with Sergey Fedoshenko, Mike Bridges, and now Yaroslav Oleg.
I don't know who that is.
I don't
Full
either.
disclosure. So yeah.
He's arguably the greatest, most accomplished single ply lifter of all time.
Okay. That's probably why I don't know then. Yeah. What
Like,
country?
we're talking like 30 years of world championships or something crazy like that. Let me pull it up. Yaroslav Oleg.
He's not at like
Started
120 pounds, is he?
No. He's
Okay.
he's a
normal size human.
75 kilo, 163,
Okay.
74 kilo.
Just
No,
made the cut.
He's been competing since 1993, and his last world championship was in 2018. I believe he's won the World Games before. Yeah, he's definitely won the World Games. 1, 2, 3. I mean, we're talking. He won the World Games in 2009, and he won the World Games in 2017. If you go to Yaroslav Oleg's open powerlifting, it's probably the most insane open powerlifting thing you've ever seen.
You just keep
because of how
scrolling.
and it's just all first every single time.
Well, that sounds like a solid.
I would
pick
like
then.
this to be put to a poll, though. Steve. Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, like, we got like a lot of USAPL single ply lifters like mad at us and kind of like how none of their lifters were like mentioned on it. It's funny because the same exact thing is going to happen with this. I think
Yeah.
we didn't mention enough of them. We just kind of stuck to the names.
Right. Okay, so we're back to Tommy for your
My final two.
final
is this
two
it?
pick. Yeah, final two.
This is getting tougher.
Yep.
All the most obvious ones are gone now.
I think so.
I was really hoping maybe a few more would fall through the cracks here. I think I'm going to kind of end with 2 wild cards here. And the first one I'm going to go with is Zahir Khedroyev.
I did have Zahir on my list of ones to consider.
And
Kill effing kill.
yes.
Yep.
I mean, presence alone on social media was he had it going on for a couple of years though. He had the whole image thing down.
Yeah.
He was also before Yuri popped up, like what, in the late teens there.
He had the best coefficient
He
score.
had the
didn't
best coefficient of
Yeah.
all men for several years. So really impressive performance. I mean, his best total ever, 24.52. And that was at, what was his body weight on that? I can't even, if I'm trying to look at powerlifting here. Like 308.
Yeah, 308.
Yeah, right in that area. So yeah, I mean, just crazy strong. He did feel like he was one of those guys that sort of popped up and disappeared pretty fast.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest thing he has going against him. But man, when he was around,
Well,
you knew
that
it.
and his squat. That too.
Like
That's the biggest thing I had going against him was like
being high.
high squatter and getting every call.
It comes with the territory there.
Yeah, it's like team high squat. What's your team?
Who do you have so far? Or which Tommy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So first I had Ed Cohn, and then I had Donnie Thompson, and then now I have Zahir.
Yeah.
I'm going big weights here, guys.
You need to draft Amit Sapir next, and then you really got
That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
I kind of forgot about him. Yeah. All right. Final one. Final entry in the draft.
Yep.
So this is somewhat in the same vein as Kaz, and I'm going to take the approach of not only was this person incredibly strong, but they maybe are one of the most well-rounded strength athletes of all time. And I'm going to go Mikhail Kokliev on this one. Impressive powerlifting background, but he had a crazy carryover between strongman, Olympic lifting, and powerlifting all together. He had some big achievements in all three there. So I'm going to go Misha on my final pick.
Yep. And he's a fun guy.
And he's a cool guy, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was kind of like Bill. It's like you wonder what would have happened if he had only done powerlifting.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd probably talking about him higher up, but he just, it's one of those things, like, if you're strong enough, maybe you can do things that actually make you money versus just powerlifting.
Mikhail, highest super total of all time.
Yes.
Did you say that?
No, I didn't.
Okay, highest super total of all time, which would be, weightlifting and powerlifting together. He beat Mark Henry, second highest of all time.
Well, I was about to say, we're done with the draft officially, correct?
No, we
got to go around.
Yeah,
the three of us each
you guys have
have
your last pick.
Yeah,
Okay,
Tommy just
cool.
did his fifth.
Okay, never mind. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So-
I'll shut up then. Okay.
Big
Well, it's
Steve.
going to me. I don't think I'm going to take him, but I know exactly who Angelo has been talking about, and who I think Angelo is
Damn
just
it.
like, he is
Damn it.
just,
I hate
his
you.
hand is in his pants and he can't stop thinking about him. So I'm not going to take Mark Henry, but
Okay.
Tanner, if you want to take him, Angelo will cry on air, and it will be the best soundbite possible to promote this podcast. So, gosh, I'm debating. I've got three people. I'll say all three out loud: Don Reinhout, Stan Efferding, or Christoph Wierzbicki. My issue with Christoph is I don't think he was natural.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he ever was.
That didn't stop you from taking Sergey Fedotko.
It didn't, but
And we know for a fact that he.
all right, I'm going Stan Efferding.
Nice
The
pick.
Rhino.
It's a good pick.
Because he still had, like, if you go back and you go on open powerlifting, if you go search by like Dots or Wilkes, almost all of them now are going to be like within the last 3 or 4 years, just because the standards raised so much. Stan is one of the few that still is mixed in that top 50 that you can go back 10 years, as well as maybe it's just nostalgia. But like, I think a lot of us are sitting here right now because of Stan Efferding. Like, him and Dan Green were the ones that really, I feel like, started the Raw revolution, because we saw these massively jacked dudes lifting a lot of weights and making it look cool. Like, oh, you don't have to be this fat slob. You can actually look really good and be really, really strong. And it's tough to say between Dan and Stan.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to say those two words back and back. I just feel like Stan has a little bit of a lasting memory, in the sense of like, maybe it's prediction, but he did powerlifting for a time, did what he wanted to, and left. I feel like if he stuck around, there could have been more. And that's where I feel like I could see him even accomplishing more if he had wanted to, kind of like Bill could have done more. Mikhail Kokliev could have done more. I really think Stan could have done even more too, if he really wanted to, but he went back to bodybuilding and he went more into his businesses. But if I'm looking at lasting effect, as well as the fact that his totals still stand as some of the greatest ever, Stan Efferding.
I think Stan's a good choice, and I like your comparison of Dan Green. I put those two right next to each other on my list.
Same here.
And I wrote something beside everyone, and with those two, I just said game changer, because like, yeah, there's weights lifted are one thing, but it's like the bigger picture to those two guys both is just like how they shaped the sport in the period of time that they became what they were, and the way that they looked was just so important to that. And I think that that's a good choice. I don't know how Dan and Stan are like in the same. Yeah, it'd be tough for me to pick one over the other, because I think they're so similar in that way.
Yeah, if we did gym lifts, Dan would win.
Yeah,
Dan is the all-time gym lift man. It's just it's been so unfortunate not to see that always transfer to the platform, which that's part of powerlifting though. Again, that's another reason I go with Stan. Stan is he.
That makes sense.
I don't want to say Dan Green wasn't a game day performer. He had some amazing meets, but
wouldn't he always do like 25-pound weight cuts though? Didn't that always kind of kill him?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't even think I think back then at that point when I was watching Jim McDonald's Super Training YouTube channel, I didn't even know what weight cuts were. I just saw them lifting heavy weights.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so my last pick, I want an old school guy in mind, and I've got two that I like. First of all, the one I'm not going to pick is Kirk Karwowski, Captain Kirk. The one that I am going to pick is Larry Pacifico. And Larry won 9 straight IPF World Championships. He won a total of 102 powerlifting meets. God. He set 54 world records. I mean, obviously he's re-breaking a lot of his own records. And a fun additional tidbit, in 1964, he won New York High School Athlete of the Year. So I'm going Larry Pacifico as my final pick and kind of my old
That's a good
school
closer.
Yep. But 102, he won 102 meets. Can you, like, that doesn't even make sense.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, that's crazy. Well, you said a name. If Angelo doesn't,
2 meets, amazing.
If Angelo doesn't now draft Kirk Karwowski, I'm going to be upset that no one drafted Kirk Karwowski though.
Yeah.
That would be someone left off this list that I would be very disappointed. But I can understand Larry Pacifico too.
Yeah, there's one. I mean, actually, there's 2 people. I mean, yeah, there's Kirk Kowalski and also Eric Lillibridge.
Yep. He'd be the next one I have on
this
my
list.
list.
That's kind of like who I'm going back and forth on right now is Lillibridge and Karowski. I guess I'll have to save Mark Henry, which is a damn shame because Mark Henry, I think, is the best, crossover athlete in train sports history, and also when you take into account like his professional wrestling success. He's like in the zone his entire life, but I got to make a decision here: Eric Lillibridge or Kirk Kowalski. I'm going to go Eric Lillibridge just based on familiarity.
Yep.
I would be a phony if I was going to say Kirk. Just being honest, like I knew of Kirk like when I started to get more involved in powerlifting. But Eric Lillibridge was someone like I just started like when I first started powerlifting. There was very little names I knew. The Lillibridges were them, possibly because I'm from Illinois, and they were actually at all of them were at my first meet, which is kind of insane. But like he was the guy at the time, and he was considered, I think, the best at the time. And you take his accomplishments and his numbers, definitely at GOAT status. So, yeah, he gets my final pick.
I like that one. I think that's a good one to round it out.
Can we throw some honorable
mentions? Yeah, I was going to say, everyone should probably at least pick at least one of their honorable mentions that they feel like.
Let's do a couple.
Okay,
let's throw a couple. We don't have to go in depth, but I think we should just throw a couple.
Yeah, Mark Henry for sure for me.
Yeah,
okay.
And Mark Henry thrown in there.
Honorable mention. Yeah.
I had. Or go ahead, Steve.
Well, I was going to say, obviously, Kirk. He could easily have gone in the first couple rounds, and that wouldn't be reach at all. Don Reinhout is one of those people that you could say just well-rounded strength athlete. I mean, I think he had the highest total raw of all time. It lasted until like the late 2010s. Like I think Andre was the one to finally beat him. Like it lasted from the 70s all the way to like 2016 or something crazy like that, I believe. I might be wrong on that, but it was something insane like that. Like he held the raw world record total for like 30 plus years, and also world's strongest man.
Yeah, I think that's good. What do you got, Tommy?
So longevity killed. The argument against this one is longevity, but Jesse Norris, I think, could make it.
I thought about him, but there's the lack of longevity.
That is what hurts that one. Yeah.
And he never. I mean, fact is, I agree with that. And he never actually did that good in an actual meet.
Yeah.
All of his best meets, it was at a local Idaho meet, and it was at Reebok Record Breakers. Every single time he went to an actual like USAPL Nationals, he would total like 150 pounds less.
I think we said on 2 White Lights, one of the episodes is like the best like peak in powerlifting, the best prime. Like there was no one better for like a 2-year span.
Oh yeah, it was insane for a little bit there.
Who else you got? Anyone besides on your honorable mention list?
So I would put this one more in the legend status as far as the aura around the guy, and that'd be Konstantin Konstantinovs, or however you say that last name. KK. The guy had like the physique that was like evil supervillain look. He has that video. Does he have that video where he does it's like 60 strict pull-ups or something like that? It's something insane. It doesn't make any sense. And he was one of the first guys that you would see videos of. What was the deadlift? Did he have like a 900?
Like 903. Yeah.
He was like one of the first guys that actually you saw had a video doing that.
Yeah. And this is my belt. He didn't wear a belt. He'd say, this is my belt.
Yeah, he had that whole thing too.
Yeah. Yep. I think that's good. We do have the reputation of making fun of the little guys in there, but I did have Precious McKenzie, the 123 world record holder total since 1979.
Really?
Yeah. Like he has held that record for that long, which that means something to me that long. Yeah. And then what about, I don't know him that well, but is it Hideki Inaba? Nobody took him, right? I don't know that much. Also another smaller guy, but I think he's got a whole bunch of meats to his belt, and I just don't know enough about his background. Then the last one that I would throw in there, not specifically to any exact individual accomplishments, but Chuck Vogelpohl, I think just has like a mystique around him.
I was about to say that one.
Yeah. So that was my list of mentions.
The mystique is if he had ever actually like peaked and tapered into a meet, he probably would have been the greatest multi-ply lifter ever.
And I think that's true.
Of his supposed gym lifts, which I don't see why they would lie about the supposed gym lifts. Like he just never really like tried to do good at a meet in sense of like what we do now. Of like he just would just be an idiot in the gym and then just show up in the meet and never be his strongest.
Yeah. Anyone else that anyone has that they feel like they have to mention?
Lamar Gant
is actually, that was a guy I was thinking of. But for a guy who's like he's kind of creeping up in the status. Who I don't know if he would be top 5, but I don't know who knows what's going to happen in 5 years. Is Blake LeHue. Blake LeHue can legit like get into like some GOAT status because of what he's done in the IPF side. And
Angelo. Steve, are you
still? I'm still here. Okay. I mean, you can only expect so much from Angelo's iPhone 6. It lasted an hour. I mean, that was really stretching the hope there.
We did pretty good for quite a while there. Anyone else that you had, Steve, in the honorable mention, or did we hit most of them?
I think we hit most of them. I mean, I could go on for a while. I've got a whole list, but I think I mentioned all the ones that I feel like could have easily been drafted. The rest are, I mean, I think we had a pretty good list other than that. So I think the biggest one is Kirk. I feel like I'm almost semi-regretting the Stan nostalgia pick over Kirk's actual accolades, but I'll stick by Stan's nostalgia because of the fact of like what he did for the sport like that. I mean, I think that does kind of play into the GOAT status because we think a lot back to like NFL or NBA players, and a lot of the people we remember aren't only the best, but also the people that changed the game the most.
Okay, that's good. Mm-hmm. Do you think we need to recap like real quickly everyone's team then, or do we? I mean, is that for the people to listen and know the recap?
Do we want to make some? Do we want to just make some graphics that we post? I've got. Yeah. I don't know if you guys wrote it down. I actually, in my little spreadsheet, I have it all tracked. I can share that with you.
Okay.
That's but if we want to just make some graphics and we can just share it, that's easy for people to be able to pull it up while they listen, as well as they can vote for my team and choose me as the winner.
Yeah. Should we try and get Angelo back quick to wrap it up? Angelo, you're not there, are you?
I'm over here.
He's been talking this whole time.
He still hasn't taken a breath yet.
he's still talking about Mark Henry. All right, Steve, hang on for just a second. I'm going to try him here quick.
Okay.
Please leave your message for 630.
That phone's really dead, I guess.
Steve, he actually, Yeah, I'm still here. He actually was having phone issues today. I forgot about that. I make fun of his iPhone 6 all the time, but he actually was legitimately having phone issues today, so he might just be gone.
Okay. Well,
that's all right.
That's his loss, I guess.
Yeah, we can wrap up without him, I suppose. Anyways, there was one thing I was saving for the end that would really be a lot more fun if it was both of you guys on. So that's tough for me right now. I was going to try to push a couple of his buttons in a fun way, and it's unfortunate that maybe I'll still do it anyways for the sake of people listening, and that he's not here to defend himself, or maybe that's even a better time.
That's even better.
So, everyone was on the table for greatest of all time. None of the four of us on this show did get picked, but I did do. Steve, I know you're kind of a stats guy. You look up the numbers. I did add up the Massenomics podcast open powerlifting totals and put them against the Two White Lights podcast powerlifting totals. And by a very pretty narrow margin in just strictly total of pounds between the best meets of each of the four of us, the Massenomics podcast did. we edged it out very closely.
All
and,
right.
and I'm speaking only in terms of total, no coefficient scoring.
How much did you win by?
It was small. It was like 50 pounds or less. I honestly don't remember. I did it a few days ago, but it was not significant. It was close.
Just hanging on.
Well, we still got time, and I can promise you we're going to work incredibly hard for Angelo to add 50 pounds to his total.
And also, I would make sure to point out that coefficient scoring is not.
We don't count that.
Not
That
allowed
doesn't-
in this particular comparison.
Got it. No Wilkes in the podcast jungle.
No. There's no Wilkes in the podcast jungle, and
among other things.
There is CPAPs in the podcast jungle, though.
And all you can eat buffets.
All right. Well, this was really good. I think this was a lot of fun. I think people will enjoy this. Yeah, we'll have to hook up with you and get those lists out so we can put some graphics. This will come out next week, and we'll see who everyone thinks has the best GOAT powerlifting team.
Sounds good.
Hey,
I'll
one other thing, we'll just let you play this. We do kind of by law on our show have to play overrated, underrated. And we'll do a relatively quick version. And I was going to make you two answer these at the same time, almost like a couples thing, and see if you had the same answers or not. But we'll just do it with just you, Steve. So this is an overrated, underrated that's specific to this particular episode here. And have you heard the show before? Did you listen?
Yeah.
So you're maybe familiar with the rules here that you have to decide if each one's over or underrated. You have your druthers to elaborate as much as little as you would like, and you just ultimately have to know you can't ride the line. You have to come up with a overrated or underrated for each one.
Got it.
So over or under the term GOAT?
Completely overrated. Because we literally just talked about 20 people being the greatest of all time, and the greatest of all time is a singular thing. It's the only thing we joke about it lately on our stories. The only thing worse than GOAT right now is saying I'm him. That's worse than GOAT. GOAT is still more overrated because it's overused, and I'm him's new. But yeah, it's way overrated to say
I'm
GOAT
him is way worse. I think
God,
I agree.
that sounds terrible.
That's not. Don't say that. Yeah. Okay. Overrated or underrated? Tom Brady.
Underrated.
There's someone that maybe is deserving of that particular title. It's rare when someone actually gets it, but okay.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that I can't go overrated because there's no way you can overrate someone who's won 7 Super Bowls in an era where winning one is unreal. So he's underrated in the sense he's so far beyond anyone ever in football. It's not. Even thinking back on it, it's not even feasible that someone could win 7 Super Bowls over a 20-something year span in the modern day age.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense. It does,
especially when he runs like a 5.4 40.
Yeah. Yes.
A game of skill.
Overrated or underrated? Ed Cohn.
I'm gonna say overrated.
Ooh, I'm gonna say that's gonna ruffle some feathers.
Kind of.
Yeah, I'm saying that because I mean I do think I think he's top 3 greatest powerlifters of all time, but I think he's overrated in the sense of that the fact of it's just become kind of the thing just to call him the GOAT. versus like actually having like analytical data of comparing it. And like, it's just like, oh, Ed Cohn's the GOAT. And you ask like a lot of powerlifters to explain why. And like, oh, I just been told he was. So that's my reason for saying overrated. I think a lot of powerlifters couldn't even explain to you why he's the GOAT. They just say it because they think they're supposed to.
There's something. I think there's something there.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Massenomics podcast is well represented here. The Two White Lights podcast has been well represented here. So obviously, overrated or underrated, King of the Lifts podcast.
Yeah, or I have to go overrated. Overrated simply because their USAPL preview show, they just read off the qualifying totals and basically ranked it off of that. So I'll call it overrated simply for the fact that that was one of the worst preview shows I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, it's fun. We can throw stuff like we can get all our two podcasts against one. Like take team up on them.
With our powers.
Angelo's now texting, did I get kicked or did the call fail? We need to just band together and say he got kicked because we decided it was over for him. Don't say the call failed. Say that it was time for him to go.
Yeah. Nah, he didn't miss much here. You handled overrated, underrated very well, even in his absence. So I don't even know if you need him for Two White Lights anymore.
I don't either, honestly. It's been something where I mean, Steve After Dark, we actually literally talked about on the pod. We recorded, this is my third podcast today, FYI. That's got to be some kind of record. Because we did Two White Lights as well, and then I was on another one for some business podcast. But we talked about that we might just need to start a singular Steve After Dark 15-minute segment where I just do a solo talk.
Where you talk like gently and closely into the microphone.
Yeah, just some smooth talking. Maybe that's our Patreon subscription. That's...
What should anyone know? You know, where do people check out Two White Lights, or how about people getting to your coaching or anything else that you guys, or anything else that maybe Angelo would say if he was still here too?
Well, first, just to describe, since you probably guys have never really dug into this, there are 3 white lights in powerlifting, one from each judge, and you need to get at least 2 for a good lift. So that's why we're 2 white lights. We teeter on the side of good. But yeah, just search 2 white lights. You'll find podcasts and everything, and we've got. It's on Apple, Spotify, all that kind of stuff. So if you love Massenomics, you'll love 2 White Lights. If you love 2 White Lights, you'll love Massenomics. We have fun with it versus just being bland and boring. So, but yeah, we appreciate it. We love having this little banter back and forth. And this for an hour of civility and tolerance of you guys was good. But I mean, once I hang up the phone, it's back to war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. What about your coaching?
You can find PR's performance. I probably actually won't take on any new athletes for a year, so I'm not here to. I'm full.
Not particularly relevant.
Well, it's like a tease thing.
No, yeah. It's like
it's like a tease.
People want what they can't have.
If you want me, you can't have me. But I still put out a lot of free stuff, just because that's how I'm able to reach a broader audience. So. And then Angelo, if you want to see him sumo deadlift, he posts that like 6 times a week for clickbait. So you can go to Fortino Power on Instagram.
Yeah, he rips a 700-pound deload deadlift and throws his belt across the room. That poor belt.
Yeah. And then he occasionally posts bench just for Mental Health Awareness Week to say that he's doing okay.
Okay. Oh, that's good stuff. This is a good episode. We appreciate you coming on. This was fun.
Y'all, thank you for having us.
Now come up with some more good ideas and we'll steal those from you too.
Perfect. That's how it works.
Thanks,
right.
Steve.
All right. See ya.
See ya.
Cool beans.
One cool beans for Angelo, one cool beans
they
for
split
Steve.
them. They each
have
get
to share those.
Yeah.
We're not double helping there. They got to share.
Let me give you the quick rundown since he sent it to you, just so you can hear it. Tommy, your team: Ed Cohn, Andre Milanichev, Donnie Thompson, Zahir, and Mikhail. You have a lot of foreign people.
I do have a lot of foreign people.
A lot of hard names.
That was actually part of me deciding that I almost didn't want to pick some of those because I'm like,
how do I say their names?
I'd like to get more American people in the mix. Like get more of the home team going, but
Steve
just didn't play out that way.
John Hack, Sergey Fedotchenko, Mike Bridges, Jaroslav Olek. I was honest. I don't know who that is. and Stan Efferding, the Rhino. I had Dan Bell, Dave Hoff, Blaine Sumner, Yuri Belkin, and Larry Pacifico. And Angelo had Taylor Atwood, Ray Williams, Gene Bell, Kaz, and Eric Lillibridge. That's where we're at. We'll put those on Instagram, and we'll allow everyone to vote to see who came up with the best team.
It is really funny how those lists do skew certain ways. It
They
actually
do.
went just about how I thought it would.
They do skew certain ways. I took my top 3 were all really big, heavy, 400-pound guys.
I still always at the end of the day, I mean, there's multiple ways to look at it. I always get more excited and I'm more impressed by the biggest lifts. That's always, I put so much more weight into my decision on big movers than lighter guys.
Yep.
That's just always what's impressed me more.
I think we've
not right or wrong, but that's kind of the same way you went too.
Right. And that's not a secret if you've listened to this podcast long enough too. I'm
just looking back through the list of all the
okay.
names here.
Yeah.
It is.
Is that would you vote for yourself?
If I didn't vote for me, I'd vote for. If I didn't vote for me, I'd vote for you.
I would not vote for Steve's.
No, I would not.
He's got Sergey, Mike Bridges.
No one knows who that is. Most people don't know who Sergey is.
Yeah,
and then the people that do are going to say, "Well, he's or whatever." Yeah, people are going to say he's competed against 10 people.
And then Oleg, I would not vote for his. Angelo, I do like Taylor Atwood and Ray Williams are good choices.
Those were both in my top 10.
I think Kaz is a good choice. I had him just outside of my top 10. I think
he was kind of more my honorable mention group.
Gene Bell was not on my list.
Not in mine either.
Eric Lillibridge was low on my list.
Yeah, I mean he was in that honorable mention category for me too, depending on how things shook out.
What about my top 4? Where did you have these? Dan Bell, Dave Hoff, Blaine Sumner, and Yuri Belkin. Were any of those low on your list?
Here's my top 4. My top 4 was Ed Cohn, John Hack, Dan Bell, and Ray Williams was what I had for my top 4.
Yeah.
And all of those are, Dan Bell, Ray Williams, John Hack, the best in their weight class in their
right.
I mean,
yeah, it's an interesting. It's a fun thing to do. It's meaningless, but it is interesting to see how people differ in their opinion.
You get this big list, and I'm like, oh man, there's enough people here that, I have 15 names. I'll have multiple choices, and the first round goes through. It's like, oh yep, that was 5 of them.
Right.
Actually, Taylor Atwood wasn't in my top 5, but then the next round goes through and it's like, all right, there was the other 5. There's my top 10. They're gone. Just like that.
Taylor Atwood also not in my top 5. Where did you have Taylor Atwood on your list?
I had him floating down towards the bottom because I figured if I was lucky, I'd be able to pick him 4th or 5th.
I did have him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th.
Okay. Yeah, he was just.
But whereas those two guys would have him in, I think in their
1.
top 4, for sure.
Well, didn't Steve had him as number 1, didn't he?
No, Angelo took him as his pick number 4.
Taylor Atwood?
Yeah. Steve took John Hack. It went Ed Cohn, John Hack, then I took Dan Bell, and then
Taylor was
Atwood.
around that late, huh?
Yeah,
4th?
the 4th.
Okay.
The 4th overall pick.
Oh, 4th overall.
Yeah,
yes. First round. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
But I think he would be in both of their personal top 4.
Yeah.
I'm neither of ours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it is also those guys because they do have that USAPL preference.
Yep.
The importance they put on world titles and national titles.
Yes.
When, like I said, that doesn't exist in the untested side. So it is just more kind of what you've done on your best day really is.
Yep.
And that is a different way of looking at powerlifting.
Yes.
Your best total versus maybe your best performance on meet day,
Right. What else do we got today? Do we have anything from any of our other friends out there?
Oh, we got so many friends. We could go on for days.
We've got countless friends, 2.
I want to tell you about the fine folks over at Bearfoot Shoes.
Hello.
Most shoes harm your mobility by over-restricting your foot's natural movement. Barefoot shoes are designed with minimal restrictions so your feet can move the way they're supposed to. Move with more strength and confidence in every step. Barefoot Shoes was founded by Chris Duffin, who attributes proper foot biomechanics as foundational to his success in squatting and deadlifting over 1,000 pounds for reps. He helped create the company to provide a minimalist shoe that can be worn for anything from deadlifts to walking your dog. Go to www.barefoot.shoes to check out the best minimalist shoes available. Tanner and I We rock them all the time.
We do.
We love them.
I see more and more people in Massenomics gym wearing them all the time.
They are. They're getting more popular in the gym.
Yeah. There's some secret pre-sale stuff going on right now. Or
the best part of this whole thing is, do you like saving money? I know you do. Use code Massenomics at Bearfoot Shoes. That'll save you 10% off your next purchase.
Can't afford not to do it.
Do it. Oh, I got one more thing.
What else you got?
Tell you about.
As long
as you're letting me have the mic here.
Yeah,
I did.
She's all yours.
I did have one final thing. And I'm going to tell you about my friends at Swisslink. Are you looking for the ultimate stack this bulking season?
I love this new Swisslink app.
Mm-hmm. How about a sweet discount stack at Swisslink? They have got a massive selection of authentic military surplus on sale for Halloween, and code MASS will still work. And that's a stack worth talking about. At Swisslink.com, you can find right alongside those classic military uniforms a great selection of military-issue backpacks, tools, wool blankets, NATO fuel cans, gas masks, emergency food, first aid kits, survival packs, camping gear, and so much more. Their latest drop includes British chemical suits and body armor carriers. Swisslink's unrivaled collection and dedication to quality customer service truly sets them apart from the rest. Trick or treat yourself to the real thing with authentic military surplus at Swisslink.com. That's SWISSLINK.com. And then use code MASS to save 10%. If you've used code MASS before, like you're supposed to, that's okay. For the month of October, you can use code MASS again. So if you've purchased from Swisslink with their discount code, they're hitting the reset button. You can go on this October, use code MASS, and save another 10% on your next order. Sweet. Thank you, Swisslink.
Spooktacular deals. Okay. Also, check out our Massenomics website. You can sign up to be a supporting member like we talked about. Otherwise, you can buy all of our fine merchandise on there. We just restocked a bunch of stuff. Lift shit tees, back in stock, all sizes, extra small, all the way up to 4XL.
Whole lot of hats back in stock.
Every hat almost on our website.
Maybe the first time in years this has happened.
Dad hats, 4 colors. Our beanies, stocking hats, toques, whatever you call them. 4 colors. We even have the Blaze Orange back in stock. It's a popular one and it sells out quick. So hop on a Blaze Orange. It's that time of year.
It is.
It's not getting any warmer out there right now. That's for sure.
It's only getting colder in western Northeast South Dakota.
Bunch of our new era hats in camo, olive green, navy on navy. We got them in lift, the full Massenomics varsity logo across the front. All kinds of hat options. We've got the Realtree camo hats with the Blaze Orange lift on it.
And those have been hard to get.
Yes, that's
supply
a popular
chain.
Yes. Like literally hard for us to get them. So don't buy any of those hats we just talked about.
Yeah. That was just a tease.
And then Natural for Life tee just got restocked today. So that's now available in all sizes, extra small to 4XL. And by the time this is coming, I think the maybe the Lift Hard, Live Easy Skull tee that Tommy's wearing right now, back in stock, all sizes, extra small to 4XL.
It's a classic.
Buy one of every size, just in case. You never know if you're going to be bulking.
It's a great shirt to wear for the Halloween season. It's got some orange on it.
That is
a
good skull. Yeah, tis the season for that one for sure.
Wear it to the office every day. People will love you.
Then our lift shorts, drink spotters, a little bit of everything on there.
Mm-hmm.
Is that about it for this week, do you think, Tommy? Should we?
I think so, yeah. Sign up to become a supporting member while you're at it, too.
Yeah, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Those are super helpful or something. And like us on YouTube and Facebook and TikTok and Instagram. Tommy, where do they find you on Instagram?
You can find me at Tomahawk_D.
You can follow me at Tanner_Baird, but nobody cares about that. Just make sure to follow Massenomics at Massenomics.
Oh, Tanner, we still have 3 hours and 20 minutes before we run out of space, so we didn't need to shut it down so early.
And welcome back, everyone, for episode 342 of the Massenomics podcast, the lifting podcast about it. Right like if Steve can do 3, we can do 4.
Yeah, we're not going to let those guys beat us at anything.
Those 2 white light scumbags.
See ya. 3 white lights, here we come.